What up? Gabriel Nekashea here. I'm the King of Orion. Reason I'm the King of Excuse me. I'm dying. I'm the King of O'Dying is what I am. Forgive me. I've been chewing sunflower seeds as I move gear, stuff from place to place. I've got a little storage unit that I like to load things into. And it got me thinking about logistics. Now, in this day and age, we here in America are losing cars. They're going away. We can't afford them. They're disappearing slowly but surely, becoming a dying breed. The older cars that people have maintained diligently and love will continue to ride on. The ones that are computer dependent will succumb to rent-seeking behavior, and people will no longer be able to afford the cars that are produced just because folks want to extract as much money, Skrilla, out of people as possible. But that got me thinking. I have a little dolly. I paid $30 for it. And I walk the half mile or so to the storage unit near where I live with all this furniture. And I figure the dolly is about equivalent to a cryos. It's not very maneuverable, it's pretty slow. If I stack too much stuff on it, it's gonna get toppled. And if I don't stack enough on it, I've got to hunch over and like crab walk it for a half mile, which sucks. I could carry it all by hand. That would be the equivalent of loading it into a frigate or a destroyer and like carrying it, depending on how strong you are. Or I could play with the logistics of the move. Goal being to fit as much value up front in case something interrupts, or when it's safe in case there's something between here and the distant end. Now I've got my little patrols set up for slashers, and Spy came through and put a rein on that parade, but that's not going to stop me. I'm just going to keep throwing slashers at the problem. Oh, maybe not. Uncle Backrub is there. He says hello. We're going to run for our lives. He's still in the area. Look at that. Look at that. Let's see if he blaps us. Nope. We live! We live! And so our little patrol has proven to be effective. But because I've got that little feeler out, that sensor unit, I know not to move anything through that terrain. There is a monster that I can't tackle. But I can move past him in my little slasher. It's fast enough, and I don't think he's noticed. And even if I don't make it, even if I die, like, I have repositioned myself. Logistically speaking, you, the cursor, are a unit unto yourself. The ships that you fly are not dependent on any of your abilities. Their inherent capabilities say something about what they can manage. So we're just going to try and like sneak our way past Uncle Backrub. I'm going to keep the phone up while I talk a little bit more about logistics and why logistics wins wars. So, in the Napoleonic era, back when cavalry was still relevant and rifles came in groups because they were inaccurate in their own right, you had to muster a bunch of dudes. And the folks who could muster enough dudes to take on the other group of dudes would win. Generally, you wanted 2-to-1. Mostly to... Well, I'm getting a little tired of holding that up. Let's see if he blops us. We've still got a little bit of time left. But mostly to try and do about 10% of your force's damage to the enemy force. Because 1 in 10 soldiers were combat effective at that point. So let's say you had 100 dudes, you could kill about 10 per minute of the enemy forces. And this, oddly enough, this statistic actually persists up into the modern era, around Vietnam, where they started working... Oh shit, I survived. They started working special training into how military forces are composed and compiled. If you want a really good book on this, Lieutenant Lee Grossman's On Killing does a great breakdown of why some people kill and how they kill and like how effective they are at killing and the damage it does, because to kill is to die. The body keeps the score. You incur trauma when you inflict trauma. Some folks naturally have a bigger capacity. Some folks are sociopaths and can take all of it up to a point. They'll still snap. They just won't recognize it until it happens, until after it happens. Anyway, getting into psychology. Moving those troops was the key element to the effectiveness of Napoleon's armies. What he would do, historically speaking, is he would break up his armies into subcomponents. We actually still use the Napoleonic organizational structure, militarily speaking, numbered military. So the first army, the second army, the third army, so on and so forth. There's 9 total, which there's reasons behind that. I get into that in a book that I haven't published yet. But the main thing is, the main thrust here is, if you divide, it's a lot easier to conquer. Now, my little dolly can handle a load of 2 or 3 big boxes before it starts to get unstable. My little Cryos can handle maybe a certain amount of expense before I'm afraid of it getting killed by Uncle Backrub and Spy and the rest of the enemies out there. Enemies in apostrophes here, because they all work for Orby, they just don't know it. Whether it's the ODSF or NILF or any of the other corporations out there that are doing their thing, they work for me, they just don't realize it yet. Now, my little slasher that just moved through there totally could have been carrying blueprints. I could actually have a manufacturing operation out in, what's it called? Out in Ravenous Crow, if I wanted to. I don't want to, because moving things through that little narrow pass leaves you vulnerable to pirates like Uncle Backrub, and it's tedious. But that might be really good fun, actually. Who knows? Maybe in the future that little outpost will be a manufacturing hub of sorts. If not for ships, at least for ammunition. Building bullets is really easy without planetary materials, especially for an alpha. Anyway, being able to divide the assets and resources that I move through the gate makes me a lot more operationally flexible than someone who lives in a wreath, who pins all of their hopes and dreams on that one big jumbo transport. A lot of big ship pilots believe that the diffusal of skill, like spreading your skills out, makes you a weaker pilot. That's not the case. You don't need skills to fly these ships. You're just a little bit less effective. Like, you don't need to be the best destroyer pilot out there or the best frigate pilot out there to get the same sort of effectiveness out of the frigate or destroyer or mammoth, whatever cheap transport you're rocking in the field. You just got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them, know when to run away, all that jazz. And yeah, case in point, moving the goods is done, both in real life. Moving the goods in space is done. I think I'm going to call it a day and go print some magazines and maybe print up some proxies for Magic the Gathering. Give myself a little treat, you know? Anyway, I hope you all have a good day. Don't let Uncle Backrub get you.